Hi there folks, it's Dom here, and today we'll be doing a little bit of a different video, and it's going to be much shorter than my usual ones, and all I'm going to do in this one is pretty much just sit down and discuss some of the Gauntlet ideas that I'd like for the kind of, weekly gauntlets that they have on each weekend. And as I usually work most weekends, I haven't been able to take part in most of these until recently, where I've been getting Sundays off, so you can expect to see more Gauntlet videos in the future. But here are just some ideas that I've come up with personally. If you have your own ideas, obviously, feel free to put them in the comments, and if you don't like or like a few of my ideas, let me know. So the first one, which is probably one of my worst ideas in my opinion, is the Tranquil Gauntlet. So this just means that cards will not have keywords and are unable to gain keywords. So obviously cards which just exclusively are all about the keyword they have, say lethal, charge, breakthrough, ward, regenerate, etc. They are all gone, and I decided that for completing a round in this, you would be given the card Thunderbug, which would be added to the game and be one that you could just make in scraps if you didn't kind of get to do the event either, because I feel like limiting a unique card which actually has some sort of use to an event seems a bit harsh, especially to those people who were like me, who just weren't able to kind of play the game on weekends. And this card would just remove keywords from a creature, just because, it's a very simple card. It's not the best, but it's just something where if you can kind of run it in a deck, you might be able to kind of dupe an Anasi or something like that, and you don't need to be playing a certain attribute for that kind of deck maneuver right there. But yeah, this is probably one of the worst of my ideas. So we'll move on to a much nicer one, which is the Collective Gauntlet. And this is your deck can consist of any card from any attribute, and the only banned card would be Unite the Houses. So this would just be about seeing what creators could come up with any card. So you could be using loads of multi-attribute cards from every single faction. It would probably end up being quite messy, but it'd be very interesting to see what people would pull out from this. And I thought, again, another one of those optional reward cards for just taking part, which you would then be able to make with soul gems, could be the Dunmer Agent, who is a 2-cost 1/1, who, when summoned, will choose a card in play, and he will draw a random card which shares at least one attribute with the chosen card. So let's say you choose a Guild Sworn card. It could get you a random willpower, strength card. It could get you just a random card with at least one of the attributes there. So it could actually, in theory, you say choose a strength card and give you like Dagoth, for instance, because that does have strength. So it'd be something nice for Unite the Houses decks, but it wouldn't be too strong that it would confirm you the win if you drew this or anything like that. But yeah, it'd just be very interesting to see what people come up with. And the Legends Gauntlet is also a very similar idea to the one before, and this one is that your deck must only consist of legendary cards, but again, it can be from any attribute and you're not limited. So again, Unite the Houses would have to be banned. Dragon Mound would be banned because it would just remove the point of it being legendary cards exclusively by giving you a bunch of common dragons and whatnot. And Garnag I thought I'd remove just so, you're not limiting your opponent's Magicka. So if they try and have a big late game plan, you're not completely screwing the whole game over just because most of removal's been thrown away. Although I guarantee you, if this was a gauntlet, most people would just run 3 copies of Dawn's Wrath. And I thought, again, let's have a nice new card for if you do just participate. And you don't need to participate once to get this. It'd be Mike the Liar, a 1-cost 1/1, who when summoned will draw a random legendary card, and when he's destroyed, he will banish himself. Just because, you don't really want him to come back around too easily. Of course, you could silence him, or just unsummon him, or use Abnethar and stuff like that to reuse his summon ability to keep on drawing random legendaries. But yeah, no, it's a simple card. Next we have the Province Gauntlet, and this one is basically an idea I came up from the Training Grounds video, and it's that your deck can only contain one creature type, so you can have any sort of actions that you want, but the creatures must contain the same type. So let's say I put 1 Argonian in my deck, all the creatures in my deck must have Argonians. That doesn't limit me to use actions which will summon like an Imperial or anything like that, but the creatures themselves have to be of that one card or the creature attribute. So it's just a bit interesting to see what it would limit people to do and what they create. And the reason why Trading Grounds is banned is just so people don't, well, every deck would run it if, this was a gauntlet. And then I thought the reward for this could be a different art for training grounds. So the one I've got here is kind of Foom training grounds, where it's Parthenax and the Dragonborn kind of sitting down meditating. It was a really nice piece of card art that I found on the internet, but I couldn't find one of the barracks, so I just thought I'd put that on there instead, even though there are some probably better ideas for cards which it would work a lot nicer with. But yeah, I feel like if this was a Gauntlet, you'd see a lot of Imperial decks, maybe a few Argonians, and a few other kind of decks here and there, which would be quite good. And then finally, the last one I came up with was the Loot Gauntlet, and this one would be runes draw 2 cards instead of 1. And the only banned card here is Fate Weaver, just so you don't go completely crazy, because if your kind of Loot Gauntlet would draw a Fate Weaver into a Fate Weaver, and say you've done some Galen the Shelterer madness, and you've just got like 50 Fate Weavers in deck, it could be painful. So the idea of this one would basically to be getting players to utilise Prophecy decks, or at least to kind of make sure that players are a bit more worried when they're destroying a rune, because they're going to give their opponents a lot of cards. Or it could actually be an incentive to kind of make your opponent's hand stuffed, and then, you know, they keep on just having to discard cards because their hand is full. You got lots of different tactics you could do with it. And I decided to make the card that you get as a reward for this an alternate art of Fate Weaver, just because this was the original art that they were going to go with, I believe. And I thought, you know, it's not too bad looking. I'll just put it on there as an extra kind of little, oh, thank you for playing, here's a nice different kind of artwork for this card. As it's always nice to have different artworks for cards, and I find it a bit easier to keep track of how many cards I've played if, you know, I've got 1 of a different artwork and 2 of a normal one. But that's pretty much all that I came up with. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm sure you have all kind of thought of your own ideas for arena game types, so I'd love to hear them in the comments. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.